Coming down to the final years of my automation campaign, I managed to release a pair of sports cars after overhauling my main lineup. I will also attempt to re-enter the pickup truck market after the terrible launch of the Ueno Kuma in the late 70s. Same thing with experimenting with an SUV to be like every other car company in real life. Hey guys, it's TRIZE here. So currently it's June of 2010 and we got a decade to go before the campaign ends. So a brief overview of all these cars I'll be building off camera, which will be released later on. I got the 6th generation Ueno Quartz sedan, and I'm kind of thinking with the Ueno Tribal to make a full-sized SUV, or a full-size sedan combined with a station wagon option, kind of like the Volkswagen Passat and the Passat All-Track, rather than strictly make it as just a station wagon body. And the Ueno Scribe will be the name replacement for the Ueno Kokai, this minivan. The Ueno Felidae K hatchback will remain the same at the 2nd gen model. The Ueno Kage sports car will be kind of like the frickin' Paladin body from back in my Mr. Jack and 000 days. And the Ueno Apex, the 2nd gen model, which would be interesting just like the Kage. The Kage, I'm probably thinking about making this a mid-engine car, and I'm pretty much confirming with the Apex, making this mid-engine. Which, like you see, currently I'm just using the fixtures for the Hinata, but I'm gonna Uenoify it to make it not look like the Hinata Radium. So first car, let's build the Utility Sport? Let's see. I guess for the SE model, we'll do utility budget. So the body we'll be using is this 2.85 meter wheelbase body called the TENS Sport SUV body with the mod name on the bottom. So with the panel material and everything, starting out with this car, let's do the usual partial aluminum with a monocoque chassis with light AHS steel with a front transverse engine placement. Front suspension will be McPherson struts for the front, and be like the Europeans and everybody else in general, multi-link with the rear suspension. And for the engine, I believe replace variant forces a facelift. And I'll start off modernizing the GC28 IVE for the base level engine, and probably the step up models will be the GW series, the GW25. So with this replacement, 189.5 horsepower as of right now, but I am not satisfied. Well, first things first, let's do VVT for all cams, which of course makes essentially more expensive, but it improves engine efficiency, a little bit on power, and emissions, it reduces that, nice. And I will modernize this too with a direct injection system rather than a multi-point electronic fuel injector. Alright, so about 5 minutes worth of tuning this thing, so nothing's been changed with the bottom end, but a little bit of changes with the top end, especially jacking the compression to an 11.0 thanks to being naturally aspirated and direct injection. And also the naming, I'll call this the GC28DVE for the direct injection variant of this engine. So naturally aspirated, all that good stuff. It's been improved to 205 horsepower at 5,900 RPM and a torque of 208.7 pounds-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM. So this will be the base level engine for the 2.8 liter engines for all of our other cars that we'll be using throughout the remaining 10 years to go. And drivetrain, base level, front wheel drive. Let's do manual 6-speed for the base level SUV. It claims 147. Let's do, just to improve, a bit of MPG, 162 miles an hour. And for the tires, we got a lot of room to work with the tires up in here. I guess I'll do 245s and then just jack the rim offset so it lines up with the sides of the body. A little bit too much. And the brakes, we'll use some solid disc 3 pistons up front. Let's do 330s for starters, single 1, 300s in the back. The under tray, again, base level, no under tray, do 20 for the airflow. The interior will, of course, be, let's just do a 5-seater. Can this be, no, I don't think so with the freaking chassis in the back. So it's be a 5-seater, it will not have 3-row seating. Basic interior with, oh goddammit, we're a year away for basic infotainment, so let's do standard CD because... basic. You know what, standard CD because having the basic stuff like it's a freaking Mitsubishi, nobody will appreciate it when this gets released like 2018 or 19. The steering in this thing will be hydraulic rack pinion with traction control and ABS brakes. Only... I think everybody started using electronic stability control for, like, mandating the safety standards, so let's just pretend that it's mandated by a law, electronic stability control. Standard 2000 safety standards, because it'll likely be hell replaced real soon. Springs will be progressive springs with gas-mounted dampers, passive sway bars, normal preset, and... it needs to be a ute. It needs to be a ute, period. And they really considered this with the normalized desirability graph as a utility sport luxury vehicle. Okay then, buddy. So since a big shot in the head with a utility budget, I guess family utility budget seems the better way to market it, even though it wants it to be a wagon. So what are we lacking in? Is it probably comfort? We're doing good at comfort, 22.1 versus the competitor score of 15.7. Drivability is a bid, 55.9 versus 59.9, so exactly 4 off. Well, doing good in sportiness. It's our frickin' DNA up in here. Great in prestige, 32.7 versus 14.2. Very safe, 58 versus 44. Not that great in practicality, which would probably be our downfall with this car. MPG, 35 versus 23.5. Well, it's an SUV, you guys figure it out. I should probably use the 4-cylinder. It'd probably be stupid, but let me look this up real quick. I'm probably going to be using the GC28 for the SX and above models before we get to the... I'm thinking SL would have the 3.5. Because the SE would be the base level car, the 4-cylinder, the SX, I'm thinking SX, and SL would be the 2.8. SR, and I'm guessing the S-Type model and a special off-road variant will have the bigger GW series engine. Alright, it's pretty interesting, so I'm just going to use for the background's sake, it won't be the performance engine, so I'll use the HU20 engine, a 2-liter version of this 4-cylinder engine, which is used in the Quartz, Tribal, and other similar cars from the previous generation models. So with the HU20Di, similar DNA with the GV engine, so with the top end, pretty much high compression, fair in the cam profile, springs and lifters, 7,000 RPM redline, and a little bit large in the manifold size, so we do get the horsepower rating of this guy to 154 horsepower, 6,500 RPM, and a torque of 151 pounds-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM. So this will be the SE, the base level engines for all of our 4-cylinder lineups for any of the cheapo cars. The towing capacity, okay, we have a towing capacity of 1,622.7, is this like pounds versus 921, so competition sucks? We the GOAT? Is that what you're telling me? And the brakes suck all round. The front brake force is low, and the rear brake force is high. Okay, rear brake force. You cured? Ooh, almost on the money. That's okay right there. And I guess I'll do 4-piston, and then jack this up a little bit. You know what, 4's up front, 2's in the back, and let's just drop the brake force and increase the front brake force. And that increases utility brake fade, and it doesn't complain about that. Alright, even though the piston count's a little bit overkill compared to like an average car, so let's do 4 up front, 2 in the back, 340s up front, 300s in the back, and I think everything else seems to be well in check. So, family utility budget, I don't know how well this will sell once we market the car. 68.9% demographic match, normalized desirability 100.5%, 40% affordable. Okay then. So, Model 1, the name of my first ever SUV in corporate history. I guess I'll be calling this the Hilltop. The Ueno Hilltop will be the SUV lineup that I got going here, starting with the SE level. Now, I'll make the clone for the SX level, so first of all, before I clone this bad boy, despite this problem, such as the rear tires are wide with the chosen tire compound and the load that they carry, try to decrease the rear tire width. Like, what do I need it to be? 177s? This ain't an econo box, bro. Alright, despite that, let's do complete design for the SE and clone it to get the SX level with the 6-cylinder engine. Now go into existing engine, and it should be here. Yep, the DVE. Now we got the MPG at a worse rating at 20.8 miles per gallon as of right now, but I got a jack up to 160 like I had before. 23.5, so an MPG less than before? Now I'll be swapping this thing up with an automatic. Let's just do advanced automatic 8-speed because you want the ability to shift by yourself. Or not by yourself, but as you wish. And the SL and above will use all-wheel drive, so let's use front-wheel drive yet again. Same diffs. And we'll have the same tires, and give it some alloy rims to lighten up the load. For the interior, we'll do a standard to really improve the comfort rating. And infotainment, a few more months away. God damn it. Standard CD it is. And the SX, let's just use variable hydraulic. Let's see. Improve the MPG by 0.6. Now switch this up to utility sport. Now we're coming up in here because this is an SUV. Would be better if there was like a thing called utility sport budget, kind of like the family utility budget, but it's only good for wagons only. Even though I'm on the 4.2, the old version of the automation campaign, I cannot convert this to 4.3 because it's currently unavailable to do so. You can't convert in 4.2 to 4.3 save. So I gotta deal what I gotta deal for the final video here. Alright, redo the suspension, makes it harder, more consistent. So again, the rear tires are wide. What do you want me to do? 245s, 178s. Again, I'm not going to do so. So it's man up and do the SL premium trim level. So the SL will be all-wheel drive and decrease the freaking top speed by a bit. I'm thinking about power distribution sucks. I totally agree. Let's do 55-45. Probably add a electric might be overkill. How much? Probably not even finish this by then. 140 months. Viscous LSD might be a little bit better, but I don't know if it's really necessary, you know what I'm saying? Do medium compound tires to grip a little bit better. And Venedisc. And let's do a semi-clad under tray because why not? Improves a little bit of aerodynamics and fuel efficiency. And we'll try out electric variable power steering, which will hella improve the MPG. Decrease weight, increases engineering time, which sucks. And let's do advanced 2010 safety standards, which will increase time by almost 2 months. And let's do adaptive dampers and semi-active sway bars, normal preset again. And utility sport claims 254.1% normalized desirability, demographic match 64.6%. Oh, also, premium interior and give it an infotainment system. How much will this increase it by? 330%. There we go. 330% normalized desirability, 64. Did it drop 0.1%? Alright, still drivable. How about comfort? Ooh my god, this thing is a freaking Land Rover, Range Rover up in here. Yeah? Alright, everything's all good. Okay, no current warnings. There we go. So we're all good with the tire issues. Let me see here. 217s it recommends. There we go. So the tires are all good. So let's jump up to the sporty SR trim level, which I'll introduce, the GW35 3.5 liter V6 of this thing. So replace variant and GW series. Where you at? This will be the naturally aspirated version. Because if I were to make the S-type version and probably an off-road version, this is probably what we're going to be using, a 443, maybe a little bit less, more, I don't know. You know what? Let's just keep the 2.8, and the 3.5 will be the S-type and the off-road model. So let's use the low output variant of this turbocharged GC28 engine. So the GC28DTT, the low output variant, so we got a 9.0 compression, almost same pedigree with the cam profile, VVT, you know the drill. The turbocharger, instead of being around like 5.7 pounds of boost PSI, I bumped it up to a 7.25 PSI. The performance levels will be like around like a 10, 12 something. So this makes 280 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and a torque of 298 pounds-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM. I'm thinking the GW series, I'm thinking around like 350 would be my limit, maybe 350, 360. I don't want to go too stupid thinking like it's a real freaking like Ram T-Rex or something like that. Okay, so dual clutch is great all across the board with weight, production, engineering time, but we're not too familiar in it. So what if I choose dual clutch? It'll be a 7-speed, 6-speed. Oh, what's the difference between an auto 6-speed versus a dual clutch? So it's better by a few months, but it is lightweight and everything, but not the world's best at drivability. So for the SR, we'll do a dual clutch 6-speed. It will remain all-wheel drive, and the top speed will be increased to 173 miles an hour to improve the overdrive, which improves MPG. I guess our main utility sport is doing great all across the board, desirability and demographic match. Some sports tires, and let's increase this to... Okay, we gotta definitely increase the tires. So with some 255s front and back, I'm thinking put in some... Let's try some 21-inch rims, let's see. So I held the car from the original 20-inch 245s front and back. So reduces drivability by a little bit, does make it more sportier, a little bit less comfortable. I mean, dual clutch, freaking Volkswagen driver, you know. Improves MPG, utility drops, and I don't say it's a big trade-off, but I guess I'll, let's see, clear held car, keep it at 255s, 21-inch rims. We'll try to make it fully clad with the under tray and do 30 in the brake airflow, cool them down just a little bit, which they're 100% cool. Nice. This will have launch control for the SR level and a basic sport tuned suspension. And where are we at? So way more sporty now, 27.4. What's a fun car like? So a fun car, despite needing a hatchback of 3.8%, it's desired but not like needed. So with having a fun car, it's very drivable, very sporty, on par with comfort, very prestige, very safe, practical-ish, which I'm kind of surprised for a car because it's a modded car body though. Good on footprint, terrible in off-roading because of the drop in suspension and the change of the suspension preset settings. And tends to corner better according to automation at 1.04 Gs versus 0.99 Gs. And despite the usual problems of using sport or racing suspension type, the front and rear dampers are hard. Let's try out the S-type, why not? So like I mentioned about the GW Edge of the 3.5, we'll use this, but I only got is the twin turbo charged edition. So let's call this the TT low output variant. Well, technically DTT, because it'll be direct injection. So the power discrimination with the low output version of this engine versus that engine is pretty obvious. So hardly any changes with the overall aspects of everything. 8.7 pounds, I can say pounds-feet for the frickin' turbocharger boost rating. So I also, instead of being premium fuel, it'll be regular and unutilized fuel octane. Well, hold on. It makes it worse. Well, 8.5 will do, so shut up, game. So this makes 385 horsepower at 6,300 RPM. The torque at 401.8 pounds-feet of torque at 3,800 RPM. That would be nice if having 200 pounds-feet of torque be like a race car engine. It will still be all-wheel drive with a dual clutch, and let's do 185. Damn, 5 seconds 0 to 60? This is nice. So it's not a purebred sports car, even though I rarely use this rim material, magnesium rims, because normally magnesium rims catch them on fire, boop, they blow. I'll just keep the tire size, everything as is, 255s, 21-inch rims. Fully clad under tray will remain. Full optimized will be pretty much reserved for like sports cars and everything. like the Kage and the Apex. A sport interior will be used. Keep it as is. Really lighten the load. As is the premium infotainment screen. I'm worried about the time. Active sport. 146. Okay, not too bad, even though the engineering time says it's a total joke. We'll do semi-active sway bars. 147.5. Let me convert this into years. So it's going to take beyond what... the remaining 10 years, so I gotta rush this bitch like it's the Dodge Viper, the Gen 1 model. So I'm still gonna keep it at a fun premium because, well, it's a fun car after all of having 385 horsepower of a big V6 engine. So despite these problems, front and rear dampers, unutilized fuel octane, let's do the same thing but an off-road edition of this bad boy because, well, we're creating an SUV, same thing with the pickup truck, have an off-road version kind of like Chevy with the Trail Boss. Let me think of a name. It'll be the same engine, 3.5, but off-roadified. Instead of S-Type clone, it'll be the Lassen edition. So for Lassen, the name here, it is primarily derived from a national park called the Lassen Volcanic National Park in Northern California, which we'll be naming the off-road edition of this truck, an SUV, well, SUV, and the truck too. So off-road premium, low off-road, terrible, 92%. Well, let's get you on board. Manual locker, it will be all-wheel drive, unfortunately. Chunky off-road tires. I'll probably get to jack the, let's see, probably jack up, yeah. Let's do 800s for, 800s will probably do. Do some steel rims. An off-road skid tray will be implemented. And let's man up. Luxury interior, luxury infotainment system, really increasing the weight up in here of 16 miles, almost 17 miles a gallon. Okay, off-road preset, just for starters, and jack the ride height, just jack the bitch. Pretty goofy, so let's see, 360, we'll do 360, let me think this through. 380 would probably be the lifted. 385. Good enough. 384. Off-road premium. There we go. 82.3% demographic match. Normalized desirability. 304.8%. Very affordable. How is that? How is that? Anything else? Is there like an off-road luxury edition? Just regular old utility. And the last edition claims 21 sales. Why is the S-Type cheap? Why is the SL a frickin' Lamborghini almost $300,000? God damn! So despite these problems here with the Hilltop, such as the unutilized fuel octane, shut up bitch, so we're done with the Hilltop, let's do the pickup truck. Okay, this will be suited now for a utility budget. And the body we'll be using is a 3.02 meter wheelbase pickup truck called the TENS Off-Road Luxury for this modded car body. So as per usual, partial aluminum, maybe monocoque, but it seems a little bit stupid with monocoque. I would say stupid, but let's use a ladder chassis. Pretty much every pickup truck is like that. It'll be stupid with monocoque, kind of like the frickin' Alpha Kratos, which it should have done ladder chassis. It sucks when you're so used to using monocoque chassis rather than a ladder chassis for everything. So AHS steel is the chassis material, and it'll be front longitudinal. Front suspension will be double wishbone, the rear end multi-link. And the engine, let's reuse the one, where you at, the 2-liter engine, the DI, HU20DI. Rear drive, manual 6-speed, it claims 131, let's do 145 for improve, 146 to improve MPG. Radio hard long life, 215s, 235 seems legit. Solid disc 2s up front, let's do 3s again, 240s, solid disc 2s, 300s in the back. Let's jack it up and jack it down. No skid tray, 25 for the brake airflow, because I don't want to go too high to increase engineering time. I mean, it'll cool the brakes down, but this is more like for like race cars. But 25 seems okay. It's at a 2 for the engineering time, opposed to being at an 8 if it's set maxed out to 100. Interior, you know the drill. Interior basic. Interior for the entertainment will be basic CD player, standard CD player. I don't want to do basic because I don't want everybody to be bummed out with the outdated Mitsubishi technology. Variable hydraulic power steering, electronic stability control, standard 2000 safety standards with some progressive springs, gas, passive, normal. And won't you look at that? Drivability-wise, it's oversteering a smidge. Sportiness is doing great. So utility budget, 71.4% demographic badge, normalized desirability 139.3, affordability 44. And 0 to 62, 100 kilometers in 10 seconds flat. Right, 10 seconds? 10.02. Oh man, the brakes. The brakes are a little bit too OP as I thought it would be. A little bit of utility brake fade by a smidge, but I'll live with what I got right here. Alright, so that's good with this trim. So before we name this bad boy, despite the rear tires of Wife chose tire compound and load that they carry, tried to reduce the tire width, this thing will be kind of like a naming successor of the Kuma. It will be the Kodiak, kind of like the Kodiak bear. So Kuma, I believe, is Japanese for a bear. This thing will be also a bear, but Englishified. For this mid-sized pickup truck, which the Kuma was a compact pickup truck, this will be a mid-sized pickup truck, kind of like a Ford Ranger. So, we'll create the SX and beyond. Alright, SX. Existing engine will be the DVE, the 2.8 liter engine. The S... let's pretty much follow the same kind of blueprint with the Hilltop. Automatic 8-speed. Check up to, let's do 150 and 22.5. Alright. And for the heck of it, let's give the option to have a 4x4 drivetrain. It'll be 4x4 for everything above the SX, L, R. I think the R would be all-wheel drive, including the S-Type, and then the Lassen edition, 4x4. Alright, let's make a Ford type of decision. Alloy rims, kind of like the Hilltop. So, how about utility-wise? So, 170 is steel rims. Who cares? 0.8%. Who even cares? Alright, standard and... Oh wait, is it standard CD player again? Yeah, standard CD player. Oh, also, not only this. I'm probably going to have a crew cab edition of this thing just to kind of broaden things out here. So let's make this the SX crew cab, and I'm kind of thinking, casing. Yes, this will be the crew cab edition of the standard pickup truck. And I'll probably make this a clone with the extended bed with the crew cab extended. And then this will fall on with the 4-door pickup truck with the SL and above. Just to bring in a little bit more variation and all that stuff. You know what, seeing that this is a utility car, how about utility 185? Hold on, 185 or is like 170? 185 that, hold up. 185, 60, 76. 76, 185. A little bit less. This improved the G-forces, the G's at the cornering. Hold on, let me make this SE a utility tire again. 136, 70.8 with the utility tires. Smidge better, but I want to keep things in line with having utility things such as the tires. Oh, the utility brake fade is going up, 2.7. And the rear tires are still wide, so I think I'll call the crew cab what it is as of... Okay, we're all good. Alright, I'll call that the crew cab, and I'll make a clone. Same exact everything, but it'll be the extended crew cab by lengthening the bed. So the SX crew cab extended. This is all I gotta do, so I think this is the morph. There we go. That's all I got to do. So utility, 197. Okay, improved quite a bit. And this boy will be the 4-door pickup truck, so it'll be legit 4 doors rather than the crew cab with the freaking quad coupe just open from the inside kind of ordeal. I think that's how crew cabs work, like this old school kind of crew cab. So SL will be a legit 4-door pickup truck with the bed extended out the best I can do. And let's do vented, viscous LSD. Drop the 0 to 62 by 1/10 of a second. You know, let's try out some medium compound tires because we're sacrificing less in off-road performance, because if you buy a premium or upscale truck, you're probably not going to be off-roading in this thing unless you buy the Lassen edition. And I believe keep the 235s for tires, so 245 is the best we can do. I can extend the arches, which I'll do so with the SR and above. Probably S-Type will have the extended arches, maybe the S-Type? SRS type, I'll think about it. Okay, premium interior and the premium navigation infotainment system. Electric variable power steering, drop everything, and really increasing FPG to decrease FPG with the advanced 2010 safety standards. Adaptive, semi-active, normal. So, utility premium now is a 315.3%, demographic match 76.9. And it is great across the board with regular utility, utility budget, a fleet car, utility sport, everything across the board. So yeah, the usual, kind of like the Hilltop with the SL version of that car, so everything's all good, just premiumify it, no problems, let's do the SR build. So how will this be if I use the GC28 with the 280 horsepower motor? Now that we're competing with one trim, so where's the fun car? So 324, 78%. A fun car should not be considered whatsoever. Hold on a minute. Is it low sportiness and it needs to be a hatchback? Ah, crap. Like utility sport, it needs to be an SUV period in this bitch. That's unfortunate. And also, dual clutch this thing. 0 to 62 in 6.8 seconds, almost 22 miles per gallon with the top speed jacked up. And how will a sport preset work on this thing? So 365 days in a year, 335. Of course, utility drops because off-road drops along with that too, and red everything. Most of us try to avoid it. Others can't get out of its way. Beep, beep. Well, I'll be a little bit generous with the ride height. Let's do 346. So 365 is a normal ride height, and sportiness, or a sport level preset ride height is 335. Alright, so it seems everything's good with the SR. I believe I'll probably make some adjustments off camera if needed, so the front dampers are hard, just like you. Now let's make the rear dampers hard. How about now? Yes, the rear dampers are now hard after just putting up by one click, so let's do the S-Type. So a comparison. The 2.8 makes 280 horsepower, the 3.5 liter, the GW, makes 385, so 105 more horsepower with the bigger 3.5 liter all aluminum engine. Jacking up the top speed, it's at 5.10 to 62, terrible 18.5 miles per gallon. And I'll jack the tire width. The best I could do is 245s, unless I can increase a little bit. Where's the fender thing at? Alright, let's do 255s, kind of like what I did with the Hilltop. Alright, what's it like doing a sport preset? Saved about 100 pounds. Great. Alright, jacked us up to some 21-inch rims, 1.02 cornering Gs that we got going here for this all-wheel drive pickup truck with alloy rims up in here. Alright, active sport, semi-active, a pure sport suspension, and still jack it up like before with the right height. And the fuel economy, 17.3 miles per gallon, but pretty good around the board. Normalized desirability 261. Kind of a mid. Alright, so that's the S-Type. Let's do the Lassen edition. So the 7th and final trim level, it'll be 4x4, manual locker, keep the transmission to a dual clutch 6-speed, and of course, drop it to a chunky off-roader with, I think I did alloy rim, of sportiness is at 100. Wowee. Damn, we were at over 5,000 pounds after switching this to a luxury type of an interior. and still considered a great utility premium vehicle, but I want this to be demographic match, so utility premium is still great demographic wise. Normalized desirability is excellent, off the charts. Off-road premium, and it needs to be an SUV, so off-road utility, an affordable and extremely on-durable on and off-road vehicle. Hold on. Is there a utility off-road thingamajig? And still, the SL is like Mercedes levels. Go to the Lassen edition. S-Type. Oh, come on. Why is this like a freaking Cadillac? Alright, improvement suspension. So, utility premium 320, 76, and off-road 187, a freaking murder rap, and 77.1 demographic. And also, I'm kind of a dumbass with the naming of the crew cab. The crew cab is the SL and above. This is actually a quad cab. I am stupid with the naming. So for the design phase, well, first of all, I'll wrap up the other parts of the build with the Quartz, the Tribal, the Ueno Scribe van, Felidae, Kage, and he notified the Apex. So it's going to take me a long ass time for me to design all these cars up in here off camera, so I'll catch you back with a brief rundown of every trim level of the cars I made off camera right here.
6-7 weeks later.
Alrighty. After meticulously designing and altering, rinsing and repeating, I've managed to get all 8 models fully designed. The first vehicle that you're seeing now is the Ueno Kodiak. It comes with 7 different trim levels of this pickup truck, ranging from the basic SE level to the off-road focused Lassen edition. With the overall styling, it takes some design cues from the Toyota Tacoma with the fascia, and for the back, the taillights are fairly reminiscent to these Ram 1500 aftermarket taillights that I found. The basic SE trim level is powered by a 1.8-liter turbo inline-4 engine called the HB18 DIT instead of the HU20 DI engine. This new engine produces 181 horsepower and 191.5 pounds-feet of torque. It's also made out of aluminum for the block and aluminum silicon for the head material to make it more lightweight than its predecessor. The SX trim level comes with either the quad cab and the extended bed quad cab version. This trim level and beyond comes with 4-wheel drive as standard. Instead of using the older GC series engine, I decided to use the GW series engine found in the Gen 1 Kage. This 3-liter V6 variant produces 230 horsepower and 219.7 pounds-feet of torque. The premium SL trim level has an upgraded interior, more safety features, and other higher-end features. It retains the same 3-liter engine, but it's twin turbocharged that produces 305 horsepower and 304.5 pounds-feet of torque, and it uses an 8-speed automatic transmission. The SR Sports Level pickup truck uses the same turbocharged V6 engine. It has red and black accents to go along with the sport level theme found in other SR level cars, with sports tires, a sports tuned suspension, and uses a 6-speed dual clutch transmission called Subashifuto, or SUFT for short. Heading up to the high performance S-Type variant, this truck is tuned for speed and handling. It comes with a custom S-Type aero package with a rear spoiler, front lip, and basic side skirts for more downforce. On top of that, it comes with a low output 3.5-liter V6 partially derived from the first gen Kage that produces 400 horsepower and 408.2 pounds-feet of torque. Finally, with the Lassen edition, this variant comes with an off-road ready suspension, off-road tires, steel wheels instead of alloy like I did earlier, a proper tow package, and a luxury interior setup. It uses the same engine found in the S-Type Kodiak. The second car is the Ueno Hilltop. This is a crossover SUV, which is the first they've made for this company. For the front, I got part of the styling from the Suzuki Vitara with the headlight housing, top grille, and bottom grille. And for the back end, I just wang with it. The basic SE trim level is powered by the same 1.8 liter engine found in the Kodiak with a 6-speed manual transmission. Stepping up to the SX trim level, it comes with an upgraded interior, the same 2.8 liter GC Series V6 engine, and an 8-speed automatic transmission. For the SL Premium level, as usual, it comes with leather and tan color accents throughout the car, along with an all-wheel drive drivetrain. The SR trim level uses a tuned suspension for better handling, a refined all-wheel drive drivetrain, a twin-turbo 2.8 liter V6, and uses the soft DCT transmission. For the S-Type, more tuning has been done to the suspension, including adding these vortex generators to add a bit more downforce, along with the rest of the aero fixtures added to the car, and reusing the 400 horsepower 3.5 liter V6 found on the Kodiak. Finally, for the Hilltop Lassen edition, just like the Kodiak's counterpart, it comes with an off-road ready suspension, tires, tow package, and luxury touches with the interior. For the third car, this is the Ueno Scribe. This minivan serves as a successor to the Ueno Kokai after 2 generations. For the body and general styling, it's heavily inspired by the Toyota Alphard, as this mod body is modeled off it. With the SE trim level, as per usual, it comes with a basic interior, 7 seats in total, which includes for the other trim levels, and an automatic 6-speed tranny, and the usual 1.8 liter turbo 4-banger. The second trim level, which is the SX, upgrades have been made to the interior as well as a transmission, going up to an 8-speed auto and using a 2-liter turbo engine that produces 200 horsepower and 214.1 pounds-feet of torque. For the SL trim level, further upgrades have been made to the car's interior and modern safety features were implemented. It's also armed with a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 that produces 260 horsepower and 261.5 pounds-feet of torque. Finally, for the Scribe, this is the E-Type trim level. Just like the Ueno Kokai E-Type, this is a limited production luxury variant of this minivan. It has quilted leather seats, shag carpeting, a large moonroof, chrome trim, and many other luxury touches. This variant uses the low-output twin-turbo V6 found in the Kodiak and Hilltop, paired with the soft DCT transmission. On to the fourth car. This here is the second generation Ueno Felidae. This is a K-sized hatchback, just like the last gen model. Starting with the SC trim level, it uses a revised version of the 660cc inline-3 EM series engine that uses direct injection to improve fuel economy and power. This version makes 48 horsepower compared to 43 horsepower with the older multi-point injectors. The SX trim level has the same engine but with an upgraded interior and a 6-speed manual instead of the 5-speed on the SE trim level. You probably know the drill with the SL Premium trim level, leather seats, tan accents, and better safety features. However, it uses a 6-speed automatic transmission to improve comfort and value for a premium car. Taking a look at the SR trim level, it uses the soft 6-speed DCT on top of a more powerful K engine that produces 55 horsepower compared to 53 on the previous engine. For the top-of-the-line S-Type model, this variant comes with a better suspension, limited slip differential, and basic aero package. It also uses a refined turbocharged K engine with an improved redline, torque rating, and fuel efficiency, all thanks to better turbo tuning and the use of direct injection. The fifth car I got is the 6th gen Ueno Quartz. With the front end, The styling was heavily inspired by the pre-facelift 6th gen Nissan Altima. I carried some of that flow towards the back end, but I decided to come up with my own custom taillights, rather than copying off of what the Altima has. The SE trim level comes with the basic essentials and the ordinary infotainment system with the usual 1.8 liter engine and a 6-speed manual. The SX trim level reuses the same engine, but with standard interior features and a slightly improved suspension and power steering system. For the SL trim level, I bumped up the engine to the 2-liter inline-4 and swapped out the transmission to an 8-speed auto and made it all-wheel drive. The SR trim level keeps the same 2-liter engine and uses the SUFT DCT along with a tuned suspension and sport-themed interior. For the S-Type level, this bad boy has been upgraded for speed and handling, all thanks to a low-level wing, S-Type aero package, and further tuned suspension and wheels. It's powered by a performance-grade 2.2-liter inline-4 that produces 295 horsepower and 267.8 pounds-feet of torque. Now, car number 6 is the 4th gen Ueno Tribal Station Wagon. For the fascia, the grille design was inspired by the Skoda Octavia. As you can see, the grille bars fan out away from the center of the car, opposed to having uniformed vertical grille bars found on every other car. The SE level comes with the basic 1.8 liter engine with the most basic amenities offered. Stepping up to the SX level, it used the 2-liter engine found on the Scribe and Quartz. It also includes roof racks, an upgraded interior, alloy wheels, and much more. With the SL trim level, these models fire on 2 extra cylinders as it uses a 3-liter V6 for extra power for what's needed, including all-wheel drive and premium touches added to the SL. Next, the SR trim level reuses the 3-liter engine. However, it comes with a sport-tuned suspension and utilizes the SUFT 6-speed transmission. The last trim level for the Tribal is the S-Type. It uses the twin-turbo variant of the 3-liter engine that's also found on the Kodiak. This engine makes a tad more power than the S-Type Quartz, but with this engine's added torque, it can either tow light trailers and some heavy loads while not sacrificing much speed or acceleration. For the 2 sports cars I have, the first one is the 2nd generation Ueno Apex. Opposed to the last gen model, it's now been switched up to a Kage sports car instead of a compact sports car. Some of the styling is similar to my Hinata Radium build, where I made an electric car back in 2023 with the same model. I only changed the fascia to be reminiscent of the Honda S660 and made minor changes to the back compared to the Hinata. For the SX trim level, which is the base level for all sports cars, the SX comes with standard features found in other mass-produced Ueno cars with a decent suspension, armed with a performance-grade 660cc engine and a 6-speed manual. The SR trim retains the same engine and transmission, but slightly bigger tires were used, and further changes to the suspension were implemented. For the S-Type model, I decided to switch it up to all-wheel drive as it uses a turbocharged 660cc engine. With this drivetrain, it can be used to reduce wheel spin and help put all of the legally limited 63 horsepower to all 4 wheels. And as a way to boost sales, since I'm concerned with the normalized desirability score, I have a pair of export-only models of the Apex. The SR uses a 1-liter inline-3 performance-grade engine that produces 83 horsepower and 76 pounds-feet of torque. The S-Type uses the SUFT DCT and a turbo variant of the same engine, producing 116 horsepower and 98.8 pounds-feet of torque. Also, both export models come with the soft-top convertible option. The 8th and final vehicle in the lineup is the 2nd gen Ueno Kage. This flagship sports car has been switched up compared to the previous gen model. This mod body comes from a rendition of the Toyota FT1 concept car made a decade ago in real life. I then Ueno-ified it by creating my own style of the fascia and rear design with a few design cues from the old Kage. The SX trim level comes with a geared LSD, rear-wheel drive, a manual 6-speed, and a 2.8-liter inline 6 that serves as a successor to the FZ series inline engine that produces 305 horsepower and 226.5 pounds-feet of torque. The SR level has been stepped up with a 3.5-liter low-output turbo V6 found on the Kodiak and Hilltop, which makes 400 horsepower, as a reminder, along with further tuning and utilizes the soft transmission for quicker gear changes. Finally, the S-Type Kage is the most powerful car in Ueno's lineup. On top of the S-Type's aero package, active suspension, and tuning upgrades, it uses the high-output variant of this turbo 3.5-liter that produces 575 horsepower and 490 pounds-feet of torque. With the gearing properly tuned, it claims a 0 to 62 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. Alright, so about to engineer the Kodiak, so it claims 133 months? God damn, y'all, for a pickup truck! What does 133 equal to? July of 2021, a year and a half after the automation campaign ends, which ends the first month of 2020. How about the frickin' Hilltop? I think this was like a little more stupid, ain't it? Jesus, about frickin' 11 and a half years, y'all! November 2021, that'll be done. It's just, what, 6 trim levels? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. What, is it because it's the first time making an SUV and making a pickup truck? Or something else? So in order to get every single car done in 9 years, so 12 months out of 9 years is 108 months for every single car. I have to get the design done and engineering by 108 months. So for the Kodiak, just work hard, play hard, diamonds on my game, you know what word, go watch, go chain, you know what word. And 107.8 is good enough. And now I gotta sign off on all these engines, so yes, these are the ones they want, so it's already HB. And they want me to put this where the FZ series engine is at. So the HB will be my workload, my workhorse, pretty much the freaking main engines of all my cars, so I'm gonna build a huge factory. And to America first ourselves, because this way I'm making SUVs, trucks, and all that good stuff. Take it to Gasbia. Huge factory, and let's name it off a town somewheres. How about we do this in the town of Lanwick? So, Engine Factory 6 will be the Lanwick Tooling Plant. We'll start off with a huge one. Well, huge one it is. Okay, aluminum, cast, forged, and I guess QA and maintenance. I don't think I can do anything else. No, I cannot. And the whole project would be $1.93 billion, which we're definitely going to afford this because we're at $39.5 billion and making half a frickin' billion per month of my current cars right now. And claims February 2017 will be the HB series. All 3 of these will be done. So that's going to be well before all the cars will be done in 2019, June of 2019. GW series, this will be in 22 months, and I think it'll exist. Yeah, it'll take its place right here at the vegan tooling plant. Alright, those 2 are done, so frickin' April 2012, the GW facelift will be done. And the Kodiak will be built in a new factory because the second gen Apex will go here, second gen Kage there, the Scribe here, Quartz, Tribal, Felidae, and a new factory for the Kodiak as well as the Hilltop. So it's America first ourselves once again, and large Don't want to put too much strain on the engine factory. I mean, it won't if I do huge, but let's just do large for safety's sake. If we can, put it to huge. And let's put it in the town of Crafton. Alright, the CAC, Crafton Assembly Complex, will be the heart of the Ueno Kodiak pickup truck. So let's do large 3, steel, and... help me, engine. I guess we're going to be doing steel, QA, maintenance, expanded, and staff facilities, because there's really nothing for me to do with like the aluminum, SMCs, space frames, or any of the other add-ons for like manufacturing such vehicles, so none of this will matter one bit. It's just going to be for pickup trucks, just steel. So everything claims about $6,300 of possible profit per unit, I believe, of each trim level. So the SE claims we'll be breaking even per unit of each trim level. The Luxury Lassen Edition, we'd be making bank 26,350. Quad Cab, 87,62. How about the extended bed? 85,20. Sport level, 32. Oh, man. S-Type? That's what I'm talking about. And the SL Premium, that's what I'm talking about, too. So, select everything, and what can I do with the GW? Is it the GW in a medium factory? I think I have to build a new factory once again to accommodate the GW engine. Yeah, I'm in the frickin' medium plant, and... help me, dear lord. I guess we'll do the produce tooling plant and make the upgrades to a large 3, and the medium factory where the GW used to be will be that inline 6 engine found in the 2nd gen Kage. So overworked. Still overworked. Oh, because none of these are selected, so... am I good? Overworked. And... I need to build a hugie. Oh, wait. I can... double up. But for the whatever engine, I'll have to accommodate for that joint. So, can I have vegan and produce work on this together and just, you know, collaborate? Let me see. So, no matter what I click, instantaneously, except for the frickin' 35s, that they just instantly become overworked. Time to build a hugie. Alright, a hugie in the town of Corv, not too far from Frunia, which is where my headquarters of Ueno is based in. Alright, huge one at Corv, and let's just do iron, aluminum, forged, and, well, huge. Still Dre. And QA maintenance. That'll be it, but how can I... oh, here we go. Now we're under the load. Is it because of maintenance or QA? QA. And the produce, you're not going to be working on the GW. Oh, wait, I put this in frickin' Frunia. Let's put this bad boy back to Gasmia. Alright, are we America First in Gasmia? Yes, we are. Okay. Now we're good. December 2014, the GW will all be done after the new factory and all that good stuff. And pricing on the Kodiak. We ain't gonna be making bank day one. That sucks. And why is the S-Type more expensive than the Lassen edition? Let's not help you out. What if I make this 40 grand? What's the price gonna be? Making less bank? Or more bank because I'm making it more affordable? A smidge more bank. Alright, let's see these prices. SC 26.9 and 29.9 for the SXs. The SL, a little big jump to 38.5, SR 45, S-Type 55.8, Lassen 65 even. You know what? Let's do 38.7 for the SL. So, how will this work? So, I kind of glitched earlier with getting the frickin' map menu. So, this will be a woozer. We're frickin' woozers. But instead of being woozers, we'll be wooners later on, assuming that it goes beyond 2020. Well, let's be a billion-dollar woozer, it claims, and sign off on the Kodiak. And yes, June 2019 will be its release date. Same thing with the other thing. God damn, the HB. Do I need? I mean, I think I should probably do the HB at a large, or will it still be overworked because it'll be for the Kodiak, Hilltop, Quartz, the Scribe, the Tribal, for all the other cars? Are pretty much safe and sorry and keep it at huge so it doesn't be overworked for all of my model lineup. And no loan. Next, Hilltop. Hilltop claims 137, so again, I need 108 months. So 119 by doing work hard, play hard. Alright, 41 tooling, pressure 100, so 107.2 months, not too bad. And I gotta sign off on the more outdated GC series engine, the cast block and aluminum head engine. I don't care about all these guys, so move on. GC, keep it at Frunia because it's the more outdated engine, so I just go in and just sign off because, oh, my predicted load, because, like I said, this is my soon-to-be outdated outgoing engine. On top of that, like, I forgot, build a new factory in good old Gazmia. And let's build it in the big city of Wilburg. Wilburg, you're gonna get a huge one because America first. Alright, this is gonna be huge. Oh, this is gonna be huge. And QA, maintenance, expos, and staffies brings up the GC and GW engines, but the HB, they don't even care anymore. I got an idea. So for the GW series engine, I'm gonna go to my Frunia tooling plant, the, where you at, buddy? The Produce tooling plant. What if I do a level 3? Yeah, level 3 to, I know it's a little bit stupid, but to reduce the predicted load, well below the matching load threshold. And I'm gonna be making the 30 twin turbo, and the 35 Di, but the low and high output engines will be made in Gazmia. Let's see if that makes a big difference to reduce the threshold off of the Hilltop for the Corv tooling plant. Oh, I did. Okay, we're well below the match load for the GC, GW, and HB engines, so let's do the rest of the factory. And we are not going to be making bank on an SUV because, well, like everybody on Twitter and car culture, some of car culture says they hate SUVs because there's so many out there. So the base level, this is why there are so many out there, 1,100 hours loss. But we'll make it all back with the SX at 58. Yeah, we print money. Screw the IRS, screw the Fed, and everybody else in general. How? SR, okay, 17, and the S-type down below will be pretty decent, 10 to 20. Lassen, making bank. So a couple cars claiming we ain't making bank, but these guys are gonna be making the most money. Maybe the SL somehow, probably how it's priced. And I can see why. 464%, almost 465 markup at 106,000 per unit. Like, why always does SL, like my mid-trim, like premium lineup, is like stupid expensive? More than the S-Type and the Lassen. How? Alright, so 27.2, 32, 39.6, 46.5, 56.9, and 66.5 for all these trim levels. And holy loss and like a boss that we got going here. 1.44 by year 1. Start to break even by year 6, but much better, but claims lost because sport utility vehicle. I don't care because sport utility vehicle. Okay, June 2019, perfect. And still perfect, matching load is way up top, and the engines are well below the threshold, so they're not going to be complaining saying, hey, our factory be overworked, know what I'm saying? We be overworked, no? So, next is the Quartz. And the Quartz will go towards Chunky, but I'll probably have to do a large 3, maybe. Let's find out. I mean, they're all HB, so we're all good. What if I... engine? No, engine's good, so... Oh, car factory. So, Chunky car. Is it okay if I bump it up? Bump it up ain't that bad, so let's do large 3 just to spit out more units out, more cars. And I gotta select every goddamn car, so overworked, 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 and underworked. Nice. And in terms of units, so 24 for the SE, SX. Okay, here we go, 13.861, SL somehow making big bank. Moderate bank with the SR, S-Type in Midnight Purple. There we go. Even though this is not like 100% accurate like these up in here because it's using the default pricing that it just automatically calculated for me. And pricing the Quartz, we got all over the place pricing, 12 grand. Yeah, this is why you don't do 12 grand for the SE. I'm gonna do it right here. Alright, 25.7, 28.9, 35, 43.4, 57.5. A little bit cheaper than the Kodiak, more expensive than the Kodiak and Hilltop because probably more demand because it's a sedan. So 316, also 316, John 316, 17.8. What Bible verse is this? I don't care about the micro losses, but it claims, god damn, 10 years, assuming we can go beyond 2020, 12.2 billion projected. I don't think you can match the Felidae of how that's being, oh, forgot, sold like hotcakes. 619, perfect. But how about this? Will it, there we go. Gotta abuse the meta a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And the Tribal, the Gen 4 model, will go to the nutty. And how we doing up in here? So SE, XL, R, and Sport. Ooh, GW, George Washington. 33? 210? Help me, dear Lord. I mean, I had a point by mixing up my factories, but y'all gotta work your asses off, people. See, the GW is a smidge over the line, which is not too good, and the HB is literally right on the line. Assuming if I'm continuing on with the campaign series, I'd still have my concerns over this because y'all be freaking working mandated overtime from now on. And the SC, the budget one, 1833. What happened in this year, folks? Let me down below in the comments. 11,125. I'd be a dead guy by now. SL, somehow making freaking record profit, about almost 21.7. SR, more than the SL. Okay then, S-Type, better. Online with the SR. How is it priced? Alright, prices, SL or SC26, SX294, SL39369, damage you find, 44 for the SR, S-Type, 66.4. And making big buck all around, so 579. Am I gonna make it worse? By a smidge, but at least it's more realistically priced, per se, but I'm still happy. It claims they're making profit no matter what. That's what I like to see. Alright, Mr. Scribe, you're going to be taking control of the Coke guy. And large one. Will I need it or no? So, with the HB, overworked, semi-overworked, and you're going to be enslaved for the rest of your life. I'm serious. Are you going to be enslaved? Yes, you are. Yes, you totally are going to be enslaved for the rest of your life, so large one will have to do, and I probably have to start mixing around a damn HB engine, right? Build a frickin' medium plant somewheres. Like, the medium plant would probably be my lower end engines, like probably the 2-liter, and the 18 and the 22, the smaller and the biggest engines, smallest and biggest engines would probably be where the rest are going to be made in a different factory. Okay, for the Scribe, it's going to be priced a smidge higher than the Gen 2 Kokai, so SC 25.9, 30 grand exactly for the SX, SL 38.9, the E-Type luxury model 58.7. You know what? 60. You know, let's just do 100% for the thing. 61.9. There. How about now? So 236 negative will be first year. Aight. Watch me throw up all my model years. All 8 would be in production. Just 500 million a month will be, I don't know, 70 or something stupid. Well, 70 if the frickin' Felidae wasn't in production. So, speaking of that, put the Felidae in the mix. And the EM Series K engines will have to be in check. So, Vita. Alright, let's put this bad boy in the Vita. And the Vita is overworked. God damn, puto. Even though I have the 60i and the 60 IVE, the multi-point variant of this bad boy, what do I gotta do? Build a frickin' huge factory to mitigate the EM series engine once again? Because the Felidae is going towards large 3 and super duper enslaved? Wow. What if I do for everybody? So are you still gonna be enslaved? And be a slave and not fight like a brave? Is it okay downsizing? Yeah, but these sell like literal hotcakes. Sorry you're getting laid off. SC claims about 5 grand right there. SX 16 grand. So these are the cars that sell like hotcakes, and I agree why. 28,632 and broke ass right there, and not broke ass right there. What happened to the SR? Is it like priced like in the negatives or something stupid the game gave me? Hold on a minute. It appears, yes, indeed. I am being... I'm selling this for 9 billion. A billion. I told you these are hotcakes. These sell like goddamn hotcakes. So kind of like in line with the Gen 1 pricing, so 10.7 SE, 13.4 SX, 15.9 SL, SR 19K, 25K S-Type. Still in the billions or not? So 1.25 with the old pricing. The new pricing will be, what? Damn, a lot better. I told you I can price cars. Don't even price them, goddammit. Don't even price it for me, game. Even if I'm downsizing my factory, you ain't telling me what to do. And the Kage sports car, the pure sports car. The FN series engine, the successor to the FZ. So this will be a more limited production engine, so I guess where Vegan's going, is this going to be overworked or no? So the FN28 DIP, the direct injection performance grade engine that makes 305 horsepower. How you gonna do? I ain't seen nothing, but how you gonna do? And Kage will go to Jamega Assembly Complex, and they are still being super duper enslaved, because the FN series engine, start the SX. Still, oh, this is a GW, so okay with the FN, better with the FN, better with the FN, so semi-enslaved with the GW series engine. Well, just price it high and they'll forget all about it. What if I downgrade? Stupid, but I get the point. And let's just enslave the GW engine. So how is it going to be priced with the SX? A loss because, well, that's sports cars for you. SR, that's not sports cars for you. 21. What the frickety dickety shickety shick hydro silk, y'all? How's this priced? How are you priced, Mr. S-Type? I know you're the big boy, but how are you priced? You are priced at... I don't care about the loss. Let's do 42,000 for the SX, 55.9, 58.9, 57.9, 57.9 for the SR, S-Type, 78.9. How are you going to be priced? So, first year, negative 272 mil. Decent, but that's more like it. And finally, for the Apex Sports K car, the WF export engines. Where are you going to be built? Oof. Medium or a large? We'll just do, safety's sake, large. Keep it in, oh, it's an export, Gasbia. Let's put your ass outside of Ellisbury in Southfield. So let's just do medium 3, and I'll figure this out some other time. So are my guys going to be enslaved with the export cars? We'll just highlight the exports. Okay, so it's in a medium 3 factory, so I guess a medium 3 will have to do. So EM, S-Type, SR, and SX. Perfect. So the WF engines, even though this is a medium 3 factory, which I'll keep it as is because it's a sports K car. So our base level SX 2268. Let's bump up the QA a little bit. So okay, automatically do it itself. 2242 with the added QA, SR domestic, 20,000 somehow. Domestic S-Type is somehow 43 grand, and their export SR, 18 grand, not that bad. S-Type export, somehow doing great. Almost on par with the domestic S-Type. Holy crap, the S-Type is more than the Kage! 911 for the domestic and 112 for the export. Just why? I was manually putting the prices in, but just why, guys? And chicken jockey. Imagine this video, the frickin' car with the chicken tax that we got here in the United States. Let's do 30 grand. You know what? 42.5 because chicken jockey with the chicken tariff in effect. The chicken tax, which is frickin' 25% extra for like light trucks and all that other bullcrap to put. 60.6 negative. Yep. We're exploiting the frickin' chicken tax, y'all. And everything should be good. So Kodiak's all good, Hilltop's good, Quartz, Tribal, Scribe, Felidae, Kage, and Apex. HB is in production. FN will still be in production. Oh, wait. Yeah, FN's the new guy, right? Yeah, it used to be FZ, so yeah, FN's the new guy. WF is also the new guy, the export-only, like, city car engines. GC, the final hurrah, that engine. GW, the replacement. EM series, still good. HU series, let's get this out of here. Okay, delete facelift. This was supposed to be the one earlier in the video, but I decided to do the HB series engine because I want a more lighter and more, like, up-to-date engine, rather than relying on the cast block aluminum head engine with the HU series. Now, everything should be in check without any flashing freaking gear logos up in here. So $16.1 billion is our projected cost of this entire project. So all good. So sign off on all the projects. And yeah, I decided not to take out a loan. I agree. And I'll see you in 9 years where I'll head off for the rest of my 6 months for the Ueno Motor Cars campaign. Oh boy. First of the month, 2015, the Fruity assembly plant has a quality issue and needs to be made. And we're about to be starting production for the Kodiak, the Hilltop, Kodiak and Hilltop, and the others. So 4 years to build the factory. So what's the problem? Severe. Oh my god. GM? What's your advice on this, GM? So the goddamn Felidae, last 5 months are flawed. 166,270 cars are affected. The difficulty to fix them is considered average. We estimate the chance of this becoming known publicly is 49%. I don't want to be like Ford or GM, so take the hit. Okay, Fruity assembly plant has an issue. Higher factory refresh cost, so the retooling. Where are we at? Pay cash. It's minor for the major, but minor could be better. 60 mil. If I were to start this video, I damn near like double my profits. So I was at 39.5 billion starting out, which is just shy of 40. So I'm at 77.4 upcoming next month. Even though the income is really going down because all the cars that I do have are becoming less and less disinterested in the market and all that stuff. And sooner or later, as that really drops down, the factories are going to be shutting down. You're going to be making a lot of negative buck because the factories are shut down. Just like that, like I was saying, negative buck because the factories are being shut down to transition over to my new lineup. Yeah, come on, news. Can you say something about 1 year? Oh my god, 2020 is going very fast. There are 1 year before. 1 years left before the game will end. Yeah, it's plural. 1 years is 1 years, according to game. And why not? 39.1. So currently it's March. Gotta go through April, May, and June will be the debut of my new lineup. So how will this go? It used to be 500-something million with all my cars, with the Felidae being the highest seller. Vita needs the shortfall. Well, do not accept a shortfall, pay for it. I could do a shortfall, even though there wasn't much of an issue with the tooling plant whatsoever. Just very minor degradations, but it's better off to be sharp than dull. Alright, lost right there, and upcoming of the month of June will be my debut, so I'm at 77 billion exact. So, wait for it. Will I be in a loss? micro loss right now, but they haven't been sold in dealers, so negative 9 million loss. And, please, Kodiak, Hilltop, carry me, not the Felidae. Please carry me for the next few months. 52, a B $1 billion, man. We got $1 billion in this bitch. August, you got $1 billion in this bitch or no? Please, be a billion in this bitch. Yeah, more billions in this bitch. 1.29. I definitely, overworked. It's okay being slaved. Well, in the video game world, but hella not in real life. Okay, not making billions, so big losses with the Kodiak. I guess the frickin' Ueno Kuma video of having $8 million losses is a far cry of what I'm doing right now. Yeah, this is a far cry, you know what I'm saying? This is what happens when you do trucks and SUVs in the market of frickin' Frunia. Well, it's being sold in Frunia and beyond, like including Gazmia, Arjana, Deluha, and that communist country up northeast. 444. We reach our peak at about 1.29 billion. I guess wrap up this month, and let's see here. It's December. We'll have to slide through. Yep, slide through December. 249. Wow, the Kodiak is a joke. Price too high, I'm guessing? Like real world value rather than in-game world value? Okay, here we go. Whip. Starting year 1946, yes. Ueno Motor Cars campaign complete. With score difficulty 1.37. It goes at a medium when I did this, I believe. So score 33,968. An A+ credit score of a final balance of $81.9 billion. I've sold 76,183,104 total cars, with the first gen Ueno Quartz, the SE, being my most sold car of 3.4 million units, followed by the SL trim level Quartz Gen 1, 3.2 million, second gen Tribal SE, over 2.9 million units. So, the frickin' Kage, or not the Kage, Felidae didn't really come close to these numbers. Damn! What if I do a review game to check out my finances because I can't do anything else with this save anymore? I've completed the campaign for Ueno. Yeah, that's why I didn't do pickup trucks, because of the failure of the Ueno Kuma. I think I was making $8 million a month in losses. Hilltop, way worse because sport utility vehicle. The Quartz, doing okay. Tribal, breaking even. Scribe, might have been a bad idea to replace the Kokai unless I was doing something wrong with the pricing or something like that. Felidae, okay, this is the one that's carrying. So my advice is, if you're starting a campaign, probably focus on K cars or city cars as your main lineup, and then consider like a wagon, sedan, a basic coupe or something like that. But a city car is your way to go. The Kage is making profit. I believe I was breaking even of the Gen 1 Kage, and the Apex doing pretty good. And these are the final sale numbers. So are these ghost cars or Infinity? What, these ghost cars that are being sold in dealers or something? Or direct? I don't know. So yearly financial report for the final year. I didn't do marketing because I want to play it like Tesla. You know what I'm saying? Nothing in marketing. So car production, 9.4 billion. 19.6 bill in sales. Nothing in scrap. Yeah. Cash for cars? Screw you, bruh. So the Felidae was generating the most in revenue, 3.7 bill. Quartz, 3.6 bill. In third, a Tribal, followed by the Hilltop. So I'm guessing it's the factory? I mean, Tribal was damn near breaking even, so it might be my factory was the issue, maybe. Hilltop, not that bad. Kodiak could be better, but freaking Kuma numbers. And the Scribe, $1 billion. Gen 2 Kage 1.4 and Apex 1 billion, like the Scribe. Can I check out like anything else? What is it? Company finances? Is that where you? Yeah, look in depth right here. So, what's the cause in expenses? Is it my car production? Totally agreed. 2.3 bill in car production. Yeah. What's a 16.5 in other? Lobbying or something? So the Hilltop literally peaked at 720 and then 619, looking at the top right of your screen, and then the following month in September, 222, 218. So it went from being in the 7s and 6s in the millions and then just fell like a rock, just an instant flop after that. And the Kodiak 523 on its debut, well, technically sales debut in July, followed by 660 in August, 115 in September, and in the hundreds beyond that. Damn, that is terrible. Well, since I finished off with the campaign, I guess I'll be exporting all 8 of these models, including all of their respective trim levels, on over to BeamNG Drive to test drive all these vehicles out. But specifically, I'll be testing out on a racetrack, probably the Top Gear track with the high-end trim levels and not like every single trim level, because it'll probably take like another freaking 45 minutes to do all of them. So, take it to BeamNG Drive right now. So here we are at the bottom map of the American Road North Barstow State at the Top Gear test track that the modder made, and I'm going to be starting off in alphabetical order with the Ueno Apex K sports car, the domestic SR variant. And for this model, I'm going to be doing the SR and the S-Type, the domestic models, as well as the export SR and S-Type models to go one lap around the entirety of this here racetrack. And then I'll go down the list with the rest of the cars and do that as so, and probably off camera do like the 0 to 62 break times like I did in the last video. So let's get this K sports car on the road in 3, 2, 1, go. Around the 6,000 RPM launch as I meticulously tried to switch the ESC to a sport level. At 0 to 62, changing up from a regular sports car to a K Sports Car 1468, 833.10 feet. Well, you can pretty much say, look how they massacred my boy with the Honda S2000. Wow, very snappy on his steering. Damn. You could say the same thing with how the S2000 was a regular sports car, and then Honda changed it up with the S660K car that we got going here. So, you could say with Ueno, I could have stayed on right there. So you could say with Ueno, you could say that I pretty much Honda-ified my Apex from being a regular sports car making over 200 horsepower with the S-Type, the highest it went up to, down to 63 horsepower, the K car's limit on horsepower for such K cars. A little bit of oversteer, and is it going to lag again, like right on the spot? Seriously, why does it lag right, goddamn, around that spot? It's kind of weird how it does that. So in the top right there with my time, I'm not going to get a 118, which that's my very best. I believe it's with the rear drive or the all-wheel drive Kage, the original Kage, where I got a 118, and I believe the Felidae, I think it's the S-Type variant, got a 141. I think I'm not going to make it whatsoever. Or a little bit wide, and coming on down, 40-something miles an hour into start and finish line. 154, I believe. I think I'm dead last. 151? Wow, okay. 13th place, which puts me above the Ueno Porus SE by a second, 1.4 seconds roughly. And worse than the Tani, the original K car I made from the 80s, I believe, late 80s K car. And the Felidae S-Type, the next-gen model, the first-gen model, a 143. So, worse than the Felidae, but can I redeem myself with the S-Type variant of the Apex? Alright, we got the domestic S-Type, same rules here, so 3, 2, 1, 6,000 RPM launch, pretty good. And will this be better with a turbocharged K engine with the 0 to 62? Let's find out. So it's a 12.05, 672.38 feet. Remarkable, to say the least. So let's say on power, not too bad. So it'd be better off with these K cars just kind of let off a little bit, do some lift off, and we'll lift off the throttle and then just steer in and power on with these kinds of cars, because this thing has a 2.3 meter wheelbase, so there's not much with this car in terms of the length, wheelbase, and all that stuff, making this thing pretty nimble through the goddamn corners as the thing freaking lags. And if I recall correctly, I don't know if we're going to reach its top speed, the limited top speed of this car. I think it goes up to like 80-something miles an hour. Well, I don't want to FAFO it because I don't want to run off the track. A little bit of a corner cut, but not... Well, I stayed on the track. I didn't corner court. So, down to the start-finish line. About the same time, really. It said 150, so 147. So, above the Tani... and about 4 seconds better than the SR Apex. But it did a few seconds worse, over 4 seconds worse, compared to the Felidae S-Type. Alright, so here is the export variant of the SR with the steering wheel on the left side rather than being on the right side of the vehicle. So let's get an interior view for the heck of it. So, camera. Yeah, camera. I totally agree with you. Let's restart. And the gauges do not work because they did not program the gauges to interact whatsoever. The tachometer, speedometer, fuel, and the temperature gauge whatsoever. So, inline 3, about a couple seconds quicker with the regular SR. I believe the S-Type making 116 horsepower. Let's see here. Well, how about the handling? I really bitched out on the corner really hard. A little bit of oversteer. You know what? Inline that corner. Let's try it again. Alright. There we go, 24 seconds around the middle of the apex, compared to like another second right there. So, how about around the Chirac? If that's what the corner is called in real life, if I can recall correctly. So, opposed to making 55 horsepower with the Kage spec engine? A little bit ahead of myself. So like I was saying, with the 660cc engine opposed to this 1-liter inline 3, it made 55 brake horsepower, according to automation, with the 660 engine, but the 1-liter naturally aspirated engine makes 82 horsepower, so 27 horsepower more than its other counterpart, only sold in Japan, compared to this export counterpart. And coming down the final corner, really use its nimble lightweightness. It claims a 144, so I'm guessing it's a 141 with this weird time in the glitch. 43. Okay, better. 9th place. What? Right? I thought it said 9th place. Unless I'm smoking crack. So 12th place above the Apex S-Type, the domestic S-Type, and a half a second below the Felidae. Alright, got the S-Type, rev it to 6,500 RPM. And we got the dual clutch transmission, so this thing will shift like a boss. The Super Shifuto, about almost 8 seconds. Remarkable for a 113 brake horsepower engine it claims that we got here in BeamNG. So, on the brakes, again. Maybe I'm pussy like the fish from SpongeBob, like the meme that everybody is sending, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm braking way too early for that little corner there, the off-camper corner. And being off the goddamn apex, going against this car's name, back at frickin' Chicago and lag. All for looking back? Really? Imagine lagging, looking back. I swear to you, man. And coming down on the final corner, a little bit of a pussy out right there. So, in the 130s, also got a better 0 to 62 because they screwed up at frickin' Hammerhead. Puts me in 8th place of a 134.577, which will put me above the Kokai E-Type, the Gen 1 model, and the Felidae, where are you at? About 9 seconds, 8.5 seconds, if my math's correct. How about the Apex? So, rear drive model, about a little over 4 seconds. No, 3.5 seconds. And the all-wheel drive, about 7 seconds. So, this export model is kind of a force to be reckoned with a 3-cylinder engine. Now for the second car on the lineup, we got yet another K car, the Ueno Laggy McDaggy Ueno Felidae, up in here with the SR variant, and I'll test out the S-Type model and go on with the rest. So again, 3, 2, 1, rev it. 3,500 RPM launch, and this does come with the soft DCT transmission to Super Shifuto, so with a 54 brake horsepower engine, we gotta keep going. around the curve, 12.91 seconds of almost 700 feet, 698.99 feet. Okay. Now how will it go around the curve? So brake. Oh, whoa, okay. I mean, we're going a little bit hot. 50 miles an hour at our peak, so a little bit of, hold on, did the back end lift up? So let me see here. Yeah, the rear right tire. Rear right tire was coming off the ground like I was making that left turn as the rear left tire earlier was coming off the ground. That's what happens when you have a short wheelbase body to stay within the legally and strict mandations or the mandates of a K car of how it's defined in Japan. Oh, hey, look. We reach its top speed of 81 miles an hour. That's my electronic top speed because I do know for K cars, I think in real life they got an electronic top speed of like something stupid like 50, 60 miles an hour or something like that, but I decided to improve the top speed by within the 80s, 90s, and all that good stuff because I want the car to sell a little bit more in the sports class, the market desirability for the sports class, so people will look at it as like a piece of crap, slow-ass car and pass on this ride. So 147.867, 15th place, right below the S-Type Apex. Is the Felidae more stable than the frickin' Apex? Guess I should have tuned the car a little bit more. But a smidge better above the Tani, the first K car I've made for this company. Alright, now we got the S-Type variant of this bad boy with the frickin' wannabe diffuse in the back end that caused a little bit of aero generation in real life. So, Sporty SC, 2, 1, rev it. 3,500 RPM launch, and again, with the lag, get an interior view of this bad boy. And will that hinder the 0 to 62? I'm guessing it did with that lag. That's pretty stupid. So let's just invalidate the 0 to 62 yet at 13 seconds. You didn't see that, guys. You didn't see that. Okay, 52 right there. And was I scraping the side of the car or something like that? I thought I was hearing some scraping when I was going through that corner. Damn. Yeah, I am scraping. Am I scraping the side arrow or something else, y'all? See, it sucks when I hide the HUD right here by hitting Alt-U. I don't even know my speed, so going around 80-something miles an hour, hit the brakes. Stay on target in Hammerhead and hit the lag again. Could somebody recommend me an actual Top Gear test track that doesn't have this kind of stupid lag? And the foliage that is, like, overhanging on the track, because I hit the foliage once over there on the left side of the track, and there were times where I was hitting it, and I was kind of getting pulled to the left, like being pulled into the grass, which is pretty weird of how the mod author set this up with this course. And what's my top speed? Because 81's the SR. Is it like 90? Let's see. 87. 87 is my top speed, electronically limited for this car, I believe. Okay, round highway speeds. Duck again. Stay on point, 40-something miles an hour, and a finish time. Claims a 145, but with the lag, I'm guessing a 142. 142 is 561. In 12th place, half a second above the Felidae S-Type Gen 1 model, so the Gen 2 did a half a second, exactly half a second better. Yeah, half a second exact better. I did a second better than the Export Apex. Interesting. Alright, so car number 3, the financial failure, my sport utility vehicle, the Ueno Hilltop, in its all wannabe Suzuki-ass glory up in here. So let's see how the SUV handles in 3, 2, 1. Holy V6, go! Forgot it ain't an inline 3, so get used to 3 extra cylinders on an opposing bank. 5.82 seconds, 315.71 feet with the 2.8-liter V6 engine, opposed to 3.5, which you'll see... Ooh. 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 Later with the S-Type. Okay, brakes, brakes, brakes. Throttle. 50-something miles an hour. Nearly corner cut, so much better-ish off there. So how about late night thunderstorms into Chi-Town? God damn it, man. Alright, cut in. Even if I'm cutting in and kind of being on the brakes, I think I gotta just wing with it. Look at that. I gotta be below 40 miles an hour to make that corner. I was gonna do the off-throttle method and kind of brake in and then accelerate somewhat midway through the apex. So my stopping line here. Put some trust in these 340mm front brakes, 4 pistons, and 290mm 2-piston brakes in the back. On top of having the as per usual lag. This is what happens when you have a high-profile vehicle. Stay on point, high-profile vehicle with a higher center of gravity, with a powerful engine, hoping it'll be like the Ueno Quartz, Tribal, or some of my other cars, but it performs like a boat in terms of the general handling, with some moderate understeer coming in. It's a little mix of me going a little bit too hot, and me trying to do my goddamn job. So, claims a 130, so I'll probably be in the 127s. 128, 251. 5th place. Okay. Below the Apex, the all-wheel drive, the first-gen Apex, and above that Apex by almost a solid 2 seconds. Below the Tribal and the 2 Kage. So, the Hilltop, despite its handling issues, in terms of, like, acceleration, like coming off the throttle, coming off, like, corners and all that stuff. Now for the 400 horsepower Hilltop S-Type. Get ready to start. 3, 2, 1. Pretty much a red line launch, so it claims 387 brake horsepower, a little bit of lag. 426, 222, 93, 0 to 62, but like I said, lag again there. I will be testing them off camera. So brakes here, pump again. Could be better with the handling. Like I said, it's a sport utility vehicle. That might be why. So let's cut it out. I want to cut it like very close to the barriers there and come in a little bit slower to stay stable and not go off track. So 9 carbon ceramic brakes should do my job. I believe these are carbon ceramics. Damn, 1,000 degrees in the front. Stay in the lines and lag again. All right. Brakes here at the little groove marker. Woo-wee! Maybe a little bit early and a little bit more aggressive on the brakes. And aggressive on my curves because this thing can't steer for crap. Claims at 126. What do we get in real life? 123, 521. 3rd place below the Kages. So this is the best SUV I've ever freaking made. So well above the Tribal, so 123, 521, 126, 875 with the Tribal S-Type, the Gen 3 model, and about 3 seconds worse than the rear drive Kage, and about 5 seconds worse with the all-wheel drive Kage. I think the Kage is next, so let's get to that right now. And just what I thought, it is indeed the 2nd-gen Kage, but I'll be a little bit nice for this one since there's only 3 trim levels. I'll start off with the SX variant with the inline-6 motor, the 2.8-liter inline-6, I believe. And then the SX and the S-Type armed with a 3.5-liter engine that we're going to use, the 400 horsepower and the 575 horsepower variant. So go to Sport, get you an interior view, and maybe restart because of this bull crap. Yeah, and I stalled it. Alright, rev it. Insta redline, holy crap. I believe his revs up to 7,500 RPM. About 6 seconds, 0 to 62, 315.38 feet. Be careful with my entry, don't want to go too far in the foliage. So, it's rear drive. Brakes, brakes again. In you go. Here we go. Look at that. Highway speeds into that corner. How about here? That into Chicago. Brake upon entry, and could have been a little bit softer on my throttle there rather than going too hard as I was steering in. Okay, into Hammerhead, so smidge past the line. About the right call. Right call if I was still on the brakes, and into the lagger head, if that's a good way of calling that little corner that always lags you out. And into this little thing, okay, right there, hit the foliage right there, and Jared Fogle did be dirty. So he hit the foliage, and I was starting to go a little bit off track, like drifted out a little bit. All right, on the groove, still brakes, on throttle. Perfect. Couldn't even done it better myself, but could have done better right there. upon the corner exit. So it claims 126. Is it accurate? 125.5, worse than the S-Type Hilltop. Well, it has a 400 horsepower motor. This makes 305, but it claimed on top 301 horsepower with the inline 6 motor. Let's see if I can redeem it with the SR variant with the 400 horsepower motor. Alright, this is the SR variant with the V6 engine. That's 400 horsepower. 3, 2, 1, go. About a 6,000 RPM launch. And with an aluminum body, 3.68 seconds, 192.94 feet. Pretty impressive. Pretty terrible. Alright, much better on throttle. Hard. There we go. Could have been a little bit better, but could it be better here? 40-something without going too hard into the grass. Not too bad. I guess it'd pretty much be better off going frickin' ESC in third-person view for these drives. Alright, 120. But ABS brakes going mental up in here. Could have done it a little bit sooner, but claims of 122. Am I accurate or no? 119. About 1.7 seconds away from the all-wheel drive S-Type Kage, but better than the rear-wheel drive model because it was kind of weird. I did a rear-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive model. I think it made like 430-something horsepower, that V6 motor, the same GW series engine. I think it made like in the 430s, but the S-Type will be a 575. Let's see, this will become the king of all the other Ueno cars. Now, the final Kage with this sick-ass rear wing. I mean, look at the side profile. This doesn't look half bad up in here. I mean, the rear wing really sells it, and a basic-ass rear diffuser with the little fins on the bottom to generate a little bit more aero, and the usual S-Type package with the NACA ducts and everything else in general with the more powerful V6 engine. So, will this powerful V6 engine do the job? 1 for it. Okay. 3 seconds, 152.29 feet. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm gonna brake here. And I agree about braking here. Alright, into Chirac. Still, it's probably because God damn it, man. Here we go, 279, 152.14 feet. So, it could be a 3-second 0 to 62 car. Okay, then. Alright, I survived Chicago, no problem. We're becoming here. For the marker, 125 mile an hour brakes, carbon ceramics. Damn it, I want a clean run. Alright, midway. Now. Let off a little. In. Right. Gotta work on my hammerhead apex entry and all that stuff. God, Jesus Christ. About damn near oversteered with the lag going off, but ESC had to save my life. God damn it, man. Gotta go early on the brakes. We stalled in a dual clutch car. Alright, before the grooves. Okay. Gentle, gentle. Off, on. Frickin' foliage once again. 115 it claims. I think it's my best, right? Is my best? 115.55 milliseconds. 3 seconds better than the all-wheel drive Kage, the 400 horsepower machine, so let me see what's a 115. I'll calculate this later on once we test all the cars. See what a 115 equals to, like a real-life car, what's it equivalent to. Now, for the pickup truck, the Ueno Kodiak SR, I'm going to skip the Lassen edition because, well, I'm not off-road, we are on-road, and it contains the same engine, both off-road tires, and an off-road race suspension, and all that good stuff. So, we'll start out of 3, 2, 1. Redline launch with the, I think it's the regular 3-liter twin turbo engine, a 3.0 twin turbo, 5.37 seconds, 291.95 feet. Will this be, let's see, okay, here we go. We got a little bit of a swing out in the back, so I'm liking this to a point. I believe the Hilltop had a better quarter entry compared to me with the Kodiak. Way too shallow coming in. Frickin' municipal road speeds in the 30s around Chicago. Damn, son. Should know better. Am I going to make it up on Hammerhead? So, for the marker, gents, in, Is the beta coming in a bit slower than I am approaching it, or what? Alright, hard on the brakes. Better than the Kage, coming in way too hot. Lock it up and everything with the powerful carbon ceramic brakes. And power 130s, but with the lag it'll probably be like maybe a 130 or a late 129. About a 130 exact almost, 130.008. That's what I kind of thought the Hilltop did better, because the truck is more floaty with the back end, because the back end gives out way too easily, even though this is an all-wheel drive model. I think this is all-wheel drive or 4x4. I forgot. Let's do change configuration. Is it 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? It's all-wheel drive, regular all-wheel drive, because these, yeah, are 4-wheel drive. So it's an all-wheel drive. Same thing with the... What? I didn't change this to all-wheel drive? Am I stupid? So as I kind of think about this, yeah, I did 4-wheel drive because I want this to be an on- and off-road performance vehicle that's a step below the Lassen edition with the 400 horsepower motor. So it is the S-Type variant with a wannabe Ram 1500 SRT kind of wing in the back end, side steps to get your ass in, and probably the same floaty handling style like you've seen with the SR. 3, 2, 1 for it. Not too bad. And let's see, is it going to be floaty or no? So 100-something miles an hour. Brakes, brakes, brakes. Still coming around the corner as so. About the same kind of speed with the Hilltop edition. And a... could be slightly better Chicago entry compared to the SR variant. And just before the line, come in. And when I come in, dive down, dive back in without cutting the line, and then on throttle with a side of LAGGGGG. Simply called lag. Alright, perfect corner there. Perfect corner there, so in the 120s this will be, so I guess I probably had a skill issue with the SR variant of that truck. So, are we tied? We're virtually almost tied between the Hilltop and the Kodiak S-types. So the SR could be better. So where's the SR? So here, Hilltop's at 128, and I got a 1.5 second difference. Almost 2 second difference. 1.8 second difference of the Kodiak SR versus the Hilltop SR, because the Kodiak was more floaty. This version, the Kodiak S-type, is kind of like on par with the Hilltop, just more rigid around the back end. A lot more rigid than the SR. The sixth vehicle I got is the sixth generation Ueno Quartz, the SR, with the baby cute spoiler in the back end that turns into an actual Wang with the S-type variant of this bad boy. This uses the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, while... Ooh, this is a little nasty with the grill and how this exported. That's exported cars from automation to BeamNG Drive for you kids. Say this used a 2-liter engine, opposed to the S-Type's 2.2-liter engines. Let's give you an interior view for the heck of it. And probably restart because of this bull crap. And rev it. 5,000 launch. And the tachometer is damn near disappearing as the car accelerates, so it's a 655, 361.48 feet for the 0 to 62 time and distance. Pretty fair for a sedan. And brakes again. I forgot this is a lot more stable. Okay, a lot more stable than the Hilltop, the Kodiak, and probably... Damn it, hit the barrier. Alright, just survived Chicago. Can I survive Hammerhead? So, line, shallow. I could have gone well past the line, even though I got vented-ass disc brakes. I'm surprised the lag wasn't that bad right there. It's the usual 4 pistons up front and 2s in the back, which are all common on all SR lineups of the car. So, this curve here. Almost a corner cut there, going, oh, not corner cut, but exceed the track limits. I'm always like getting confused with corner cuts and exceeding track limits in some occasions or some scenarios. I gotta get my brain checked, man. And brakes. Get on the curbs a little bit. And it claims a 130-something, probably like a 128 with the lag. No, accurate, 131.96. Which puts me a smidge below the Kodiak. I mean, it makes 300 285 horsepower, while this makes in the mid 200s. Oh, it's a 2-liter engine, so it's 200 horsepower. So this thing is agile with the 2-liter engine making 200 horsepower versus 300 horsepower and swinging left and right, waving its hands like it don't care with the Kodiak pickup truck. Now for the more powerful 2.2-liter engine, no normal. What? It's like no texture or no materials for license plates, like a material issue? How about the front plate? No normal either. What the hell happened? So whatever. 3, 2, 1 for it. 5,000 RPM launch with the, it claims 285 brake horsepower. Just shy of 5 seconds, 484.2 for 259.25 feet for my distance. Pretty fair for this kind of car. And brakes. Way too late. Alright, going around the hammerhead, so on the line. Kind of, I could go like the frickin' SR, so a little bit of a corner cut there in the line. I don't think it was. If Gran Turismo would have been spectating and officiating, gonna give me a half a second penalty for that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? At 1,000 degrees with my back-ass brakes. I think these are carbon ceramics for my brakes. There were some where I used carbon ceramics and some that I used vented disc brakes because of costs. And for like the K cars, it's not that needed for having carbon ceramic brakes if you're going like 80-something miles an hour. Like, it's not that necessary for those kind of cars, while some others have carbon ceramic brakes because you want better braking power and less brake fade and all that good stuff for those kinds of cars that need those kinds of brakes. 124.655, 7th place, below, 1 second below, even though it has the bigger 400 horsepower motor, understandably. 1 second, 1.1 seconds worse than the Hilltop S-Type. Better than the Kage S-Type by 9/10 of a second, I believe. So this might be my best quartz I've ever made, because it's all-wheel drive and a refined motor. So let me see. What's my other quartz? The Gen 5 S-Type quartz, 132 4 milliseconds. So I beat this bad boy by about 8 seconds. Damn, son. Now for the second to last car, which is the minivan, the Ueno Scribe. But I'm going to start off with the SE platform because there's no badge on the bottom right there. So this will be the base level SE variant that I got up in here with a regular 6-speed automatic transmission, a standard 6-speed, with the 1.8 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. I might as well just give you a little demonstration with the 4-cylinder, the most basic 4-cylinder engine out of all of them, and I forgot it's an automatic, so launched at frickin' 1,500 RPM. So how much does this do? 816. Okay then, an 816 for a minivan with a, claims 176. Ooh, 176 brake horsepower motor, because how it works for automation vehicles, like you say 180 horsepower, but it does a little bit of a different calculation. Very bouncy beam and G vehicles, because I think they rely more on torque rather than upshift please raw power. So obviously right away this van is built for comfort, not speed. Past the line. Look at that hammerhead past the line. And I'm still struggling to get this thing steering. And bank right here. Ooh, body roll. Look at that body roll, man. Jeez Louise, man. How about this here? Look at that body roll. Like, what's an interior view even like? Let me see. Okay, brakes. Ooh, look at that body roll from the interior view, man. How about the corner here? Brakes. On throttle. 40-something miles an hour. Gonna be in the 140s. Jeez, man. 140, 649. Oh, a little bit of a buzzkill. 649. About a second, 1.2 seconds better than the Porous. Worse, the Gen 3 Quartz, the SR variant. What's my most? 6 seconds worse than the Export S-Type. I think I had the other ones. 3 seconds better than the Apex Export variant, the SR variant. Domestic one, 7 seconds, 7 seconds. you know the drill. Now let's step it up to the luxury model, the E-Type variant of this bad boy. And I think the E-Type badge, is it still good on the front end despite all the chrominess? Yep, still yellow, but I thought it's yellow on the back too, unless it's blending in well with the yellow paint job. I don't know, but this has the 400 horsepower motor, freaking glass-ass moonroof up in here. 3, 2, 1, rip this luxury bad boy, and get an interior view because why not? I agree, why not? Add hit rate to 0 to 62 while we're at it. It was showing in the 6s while this could have been in the 4s. Damn lag, man. I need to find a better, like I've been saying, a better Top Gear test track for all this stuff. And a way to buy some skill. Look at that body roll coming in. Even with the more powerful motor, you got that body roll in the first corner, so... More body roll. I can't even control this thing. Jesus Christ, I was going residential road speeds 26 in the middle of Chicago trying to keep this thing alive, as this thing has severe body roll because it's built for comfort and not for speed. But at least it can survive Hammerhead. And look at that, still body roll and still lag as per usual with this goddamn... Look at that track. How bad is it in the exterior view? So, corner here. I'll take the corner cut for 400, Alex. How about brakes, brakes, brakes? Brakes are fading. Oh, no. Yep. This is what happens when you focus on comfort rather than... Oh, my God. Rather than sportiness. This is why it's the E-Type, not the S-Type. 128,995. That body roll was a joke. A little bit worse than the SR Hilltop. What was the S-Type variant? Like in the 130s, 50s, 15s? What? So the Hilltop was a 123. A 123 for the Hilltop and Kodiak. So 5 seconds worse for those two. And it's better than the Kodiak SR, Quartz SR, Apex, and all the other worse off vehicles like the K cars and everybody. And the final vehicle is the Tribal Station Wagon with the SR variant, sick-ass tow hitch, and the, somewhat, I kind of regret these, the tacky-ass modern exhaust pipe fixtures that I got going up in here. So let's go here and go in the interior view while we lag, which I'm going to restart, and then 3, 2, 1 for it. 5,000 RPM launch. And again, the Super Shifuto transmission, dual clutch tranny, 6 seconds almost exactly, 3:24.66, and it comes with the naturally aspirated 3-point oversteer. The frickin' on brake oversteer. Alright, though, that's a first for this car. And again, is this turbocharged? Naturally aspirated. I think it uses the 3-liter inline, or not inline, V6 engine. Is it 3-liter, or I think it's 3-liter, if I recall correctly. 3-liter or 3.5. It's been a while since I did the automation build. It's been a couple days because I did the automation a couple days ago, and here I am, a couple days later, with the BeamNG testing. Alright, final corner. Pop that curb a little bit. So with the 227 horsepower motor, about a 129, which is true, 129, 110. And it's on par with the E-Type Scribe I just tested out, about 0.2 of a second worse. So to be on par with the Quartz S-Type, I believe this one uses a 305 horsepower motor, and the Quartz uses a 295 horsepower motor, so I gotta get a 124, let's say a 124.6 to beat, to try to get in front of the Quartz and be placed below the Hilltop and above the Quartz, like I'm pretty much just saying. Alright, now for the final vehicle in my lineup, I got the Tribal S-Type, and I'm also kind of thinking about it with both the Kodiak and the Hilltop. I'm kind of wanting to think about testing out the Lost Edition for the heck of it, like at an off-road, like hill climb, basic hill climbing place, and test those guys out rather than doing the SRs and S-Types up in here. So I'll probably think about that once I'm done here. Alright, so this guy uses a it says 296 brake horsepower, so yeah, in automation it was 305 brake horsepower, well, regular horsepower, and the, scrapiness, might have saved my life as I was slowing down a little bit more with that some of that scrapiness. Is it my splitter or something like that? That's... What's scraping on the ground? Hold up. I'll think about that some other time, about the scrapiness of what the situation is. I don't want to hit the freaking Control L, check my notes and all that stuff while I'm driving up in here. Okay, minor brake fades with the front right wheel. It's not going to get in line with the Quartz. Let's see. Wait, 124. Are we tied? Dude, we are damn near tied with the S-Type Quartz, the current gen model, by 4 thousandths of a second. Tens, hundreds, thousands. 4 thousandths of a second that I beat the Gen 6 S-Type Quartz. What the hell, man? Alright, so I might as well do it for both the Hilltop and the Kodiak, both the Lassen edition. So here we are at the map of Small Island, USA, and I got the time trial loaded on, which is called Mixed Stage 2, which is a combination of asphalt, dirt, and sand for this here time trial for both the Hilltop and Kodiak Lassen editions. So good, 3, 2, 1 for it. 1 insta-go? Okay. That lasted for like not even a half a second, it seemed like. So it's been a while since I raced on here at Small Island, USA, particularly with this time trial, because it seems like there's a time trial from my Mr. Jack and 000 days where I finished it in 6 minutes. Where's a co-driver where you need one? Okay, brake. And, damn, bottom out a little bit on the middle of that chicane. ESC? ESC? Come on, man. You're ruining it for me. You know, I'll turn you off. Oh, off-road mode. Here we go. Is it me, or is the suspension a little bit more... like it conforms? Does it conform a bit more under the off-road variant of the drive control? Alright, make a immediate left turn into the sand that we got going up in here. So yeah, it's been a while. I'll make a left up here. Do some of that drifting action like you're trying to sell the vehicle and show off like you're in one of those Jeep commercials. You know what I'm saying? Am I going the right way? Maybe? Maybe not. Damn. Like I said, it's been a while. Alright, it's right here, this dirt path. Okay. I'm starting to get the hang of this. Over a minute in with this run. This thing is handling bumps pretty well. It's like mild bottoming out, but not like bottoming out where it's like, ooh-wee. Nothing crazy to the point where you're damaging the vehicle, getting it stuck, or doing anything else pretty stupid with this thing. Oh! Imagine stalling in an automatic! Oh, wow. Now that's a bottom... wheel spin bottom out right there. Did I screw anything else with the vehicle? Not pulling, which I'm pretty surprised it's not even pulling a little bit, despite taking that nasty-ass bottom out. It's probably gonna maybe affect the handling just a little bit. Okay, what's here? Over crest, blind crest into corner. Two-wheeling like it's Midnight Club. Alright. Alright. Got the start and finish line right here, so we're gonna be in the 3s. Claims a 330-something, so our time will be a 3... I thought it was a 320-something, so 3 minutes, 51 seconds, 603 milliseconds with this guy. The frickin' RV. Do I still have this video from my Mr. Jack and 000 days? Because it's from frickin' April of 2020. Damn, man. Alright, final vehicle that I'll be testing. The last edition of the Kodiak around the same exact course. So get ready in 3, 2, 1, for it. 4,000 RPM launch, and it's also in off-road mode, like I did with the Hilltop. Okay, I'm going to expect this thing to be a little bit squirrely, which I'm kind of seeing right now. A little bit fishtaily in the back end because it's so lightweight in the back end that you can do clean little drift, stuff like that. How would it behave? Ooh, bouncy on the crest. How about this here? Alright, a little bit easy right there, so it did better. Not bottoming out pretty heavy right there, but how will this work going off-road? Oh! The recovery, man! So despite the sheer bounciness of this here suspension being a little bit more favored for pure blood off-roading, spoke too soon. Alright, back on... Yuck. Yuck. All that just to get back on tarmac, so a couple more checkpoints to go. I believe I'm doing pretty good in progress, so this thing is pretty much handling pretty well in terms of ground clearance. Into jump. My God, wake up. Almost choked right there, almost sold the match. Alright, here's the final checkpoint, so am I in the clear? Am I past the Hilltop? I think I passed the Hilltop, I believe. Yeah, by 6 seconds. Almost 6 seconds exactly. Oh, 3:45, 6:35 as you hit the trim of the bridge. So, with the Kodiak, with the higher ground clearance, it seems like I was doing better in terms of, like, getting around the corners and all that stuff, not bottoming out like crazy in some spots, where if you bottom out with the Hilltop right here, like, if you start bottoming out, then you start slowing down a little bit, and you really can't get up to speed as well. But I was having, like, better corner exits and traversing through some of the terrain with the Kodiak better than the Hilltop because of the higher ground clearance found on the Kodiak pickup truck. So, like I said earlier in the video, I was going to do the basic performance test for every single vehicle, every single trim level of all my cars that I've made earlier in this episode. So for the times I've done here, I got a spreadsheet of the average of 5 tests of the 0 to 62 acceleration test, did so again with the launch control manual shifting, and a 62 to 0 brake test for all trim levels. So starting with the Ueno Apex K sports car, the SX and domestic SR versions had pretty much the same acceleration and brake times, while the S-Type, the domestic version, had a 14.4, rounding to the nearest 10th, 11.7 with the launch and manual shifting, and a 2.7 on the brakes. The Export SR had the 1-liter motor, not the 660cc motor. So the raw 0 to 62 was a 12.10, 1.8 seconds better with the launch and manual shifting, and about 2.76 on average on the brakes. And with the export version of the S-Type, which had the 116 horsepower motor, did about 3 seconds better than the SR version, about 2.9 seconds better with the launch and manual shifting, and a smidge better in the brakes, 2.68. And if this were to be timed in the real world, in real life, at the Top Gear test track, rounding it to the nearest 10th for every single vehicle, the Ueno Apex SR, the domestic model, had a 1 minute 51.1 seconds, which puts this near the bottom of the category for every single vehicle. But it did a little bit worse than a Bentley Meteor with a Spitfire engine, Volkswagen Up, Renault Twingo, Smart 4.2 Brabus, and a Mini Cooper. The domestic Ueno Apex S-Type had a 1 minute 47.2 milliseconds, which puts this below the Porsche 911 Turbo under very wet conditions, a Skoda Fabia VRS, Suzuki Liana, Jaguar X-Type, and an Aston Martin DB5. The export version of the Ueno Apex with the 86 horsepower motor roughly had a 1 minute 43.6 milliseconds, which puts this below these cars, like the BMW 318, the E46 version, a W203 C-Class, Renault Aventime, Bentley Mulsanne Speed, and a Ford Mondeo 2-liter. And the export version of the Apex S-Type had a 1 minute 34.6 milliseconds, which ties with a Hyundai i30N under very wet conditions, but below a Ford Mondeo ST220, Mark II Golf GTI, and a Mini Cooper S Works. For the second vehicle, which is the Ueno Felidae K hatchback, The SE, SX, and SL all had the basic 660cc K motor in this bad boy. The SE and SX, the raw 062 is roughly the same, but a little bit better with the launch of the SE of a 14.35 than the 14.53. But the SL did the worst with both acceleration tests, all thanks to an automatic transmission, and did the worst of a 15.67 with the launch, but did pretty good somehow with the brakes of a 2.87, did the best of all of them. The SR with the Performance K motor found in the SX and SR domestic models of the Apex did a little over 14 seconds 062, about 2 seconds better with the launch, and just over 3 seconds with the brakes, and the S-Type of a 12.79, 10.95, and a 2.94 brakes. The Felidae SR puts this just below the Apex S-Type of a 1 minute 47.9 milliseconds, and also did worse than the Porsche, Skoda, Suzuki, Jaguar, and Aston Martin, as listed earlier. And the S-Type version of the Felidae did exactly 1 second better, roughly, of a 1 minute 42.6 milliseconds, which puts this just below the Renault Aventime, Bentley Mulsanne Speed under very wet conditions, and a Ford Mondeo, the 2-liter version. The third car, the good old sport utility vehicle, the Hilltop. The SE had the basic 4-cylinder motor and understandably did the worst acceleration of a 921, 881, and a pie for the brakes of a 314. Stepping up with the 2.8-liter motor of an SX did pretty much the same with a 783 and 782 respectively of the acceleration times, and about the same with the SL with an automatic transmission of an 813, 808 acceleration. The SR version had the Super Shifuto 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, did better in acceleration by a lot of a 6.5, 5.77 launch, and brakes, pretty good, 2.92. The true performance version, the S-Type, had a 4.71, then 0.5 of a second better to launch, and the best of a 2.58 on the brakes. And the Lassen off-road version, the Lassen edition, did damn near the same in acceleration, and the same with the SE in brakes of a 314. The Hilltop SR, its lap time was reported of a 1 minute, 28 seconds, 0.3 milliseconds, which damn near ties with a Vauxhall Astra VXR, but did a smidge worse than the Lancer Evolution X, the Subaru Impreza WRX STI, and the Lotus Elise Sport 190. The S-Type version of the Hilltop had a 1 minute, 23.5 milliseconds, which puts this in elite company with some of the other sports cars that exist, like the Lamborghini Murcielago doing a little bit better, 0.2 of a second better, but ties with a Racing Line Mark 8 Golf R and a Porsche 718 Cayman GTS under damp conditions, and a little bit worse, the Jaguar XKRS and a Ferrari F430 Spider F1. Now for the true blood sports car, the Ueno Kage. The SX understandably did the worst with the 2.8-liter motor of a 622, raw 062, a 553 with the launch, 261 on the brakes, the SR of a 428 with a 400 horsepower low output version of the 3.5-liter V6, 3.68 on the launch and manual shifting, and 2.47 on the brakes. In the S-Type version of the Kage, with the 575 horsepower high output version of this motor, did the best all around with the acceleration of a 373 raw 062, with the launch under 3 seconds on average 296, and 2.41 on the brakes. The base level version of the sports car of the Kage, the SX, had a 1 minute 25.6 milliseconds, which ties with both the Honda Civic Type R, the FK8 platform, and the Lexus LC500, but did a smidge worse in the BMW M3, the E90 version, and an Aero Atom 4 under wet conditions. The mid-tier SR version of the Kage was damn near an elite company with some of the other sports cars of a 1 minute 19.7 milliseconds, which ties it with 4 other vehicles listed here, such as the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, the E63 AMG version of Mercedes, a Nissan GTR, and a Ferrari F430 Scuderia, but did a hair worse than an SLS AMG Roadster by Mercedes. Meanwhile, the top-of-the-line Ueno Kage S-Type, the best of all the Ueno vehicles, had a 1 minute 15.1 milliseconds, which really puts this in elite company with some supercars. And it ties it with the Aero Atom V8 500 under moist track conditions, the Dodge Viper ACR, and a McLaren 600 LT. But it did a smidge worse than a Porsche 992 GT3 RS and a Lamborghini Huracan STO. The fifth vehicle on the lineup, which is the pickup truck for the first time since the Ueno Kuma days. The Kodiak had the 4-cylinder motor with the SE, which did 1 second difference with the 0-62, 9.04 and 8.04 with both acceleration tests. Damn near the same with the SX quad cab motor, 0.8 of a second difference there, and 1/10 of a second with the extended quad cab motor because the extended version had more weight. The SL with the automatic had a 606 and a 591, roughly the same, about 6 seconds 0-62 times of both of them. But the same with the SR of a 606, same thing with the SL version of the raw 0-62, but with the Super Shifuto transmission of a 541. It did way better with 487 with the S-Type and a 429 with the launch, and the Lassen edition, a 510 and a 464 despite being an off-road version of this truck. The Kodiak SR pickup truck had about exactly 1 minute 30 seconds, which ties with both the Ford Shelby GT500 and the Auto Delta Alfa Romeo 147 GTA with a 3.7 liter motor, but did a smidge worse than the Zenvo ST1 under very wet conditions and a Mark 7 Golf GTI. And the S-Type Kodiak did 0.2 of a second better than the Hilltop S-Type of a 123.3 milliseconds, which sits just below the F430 Spider F1. For the sedan, the Ueno Quartz, in its 6th generation, the SE had the 1.8 liter motor, same thing with the SX, but the SE had a 823 raw 0-62 and just under 8 with the launch. Damn near the same with the SX 779 and a 767, Boeing numbers up in here. The SL with an automatic 2 liter motor of a 743 and a 734. The SR with the Super Shifuto transmission had a 740 raw 0-62 and a 667 with the launch and manual shifting, and decent on the brakes of a 263, while the S-Type version with the 2.2 liter performance grade 295 horsepower motor had a 569 0-62 and just under 5 seconds of 482 and just under 2.5 seconds of a 2.49 on average for the brakes. The Quartz SR had 0.2 of a second worse of a time of 1 minute 30.2 milliseconds, which puts that below the Kodiak SR with the 3 liter motor that was put in that bad boy, and also below the Ford Shelby GT500, the Auto Delta Alfa Romeo, Subaru WRX STI, and the Vauxhall Monaro VXR. Meanwhile, the S-Type really stepped its game up with a good number up in here and pretty much in par with some of the more genuine and more true-blood sports cars of a 1 minute 24.7 milliseconds, which puts this just below the Aston Martin Virage and the TVR Sagaris, and above the Alfa Romeo 4C, Lancer Evo 8, the TVR Tuscan, and an Audi TTRS. Car number 7, the Ueno Scribe minivan, which is the successor to the Ueno Kokai. The SE damn near had the same in acceleration, 845 raw, 833 launch. The SX damn near the same of exactly 8 seconds on average, and a 797 on average to the launch and manual shifting, even though you can't really launch an automatic with the automation cars. The SL, same thing, automatic, 669, 658, damn near the same, about 0.9 of a second difference. While the E-Type with the 400 horsepower motor and DCT transmission had a 515 0-62 with the launch and shift 469, and a 270 did the best of all of them in the braking category. The base level Ueno Scribe, the SE model, had a modest time of a 140.6, which puts us above the Bentley Mulsanne Speed under very wet conditions, the Mondeo, the Bentley Arnage under wet conditions, but below the Morgan 3 liter and the Dacia Sandero. However, the E-Type Scribe really stepped its game up, all thanks to DCT and the 400 horsepower motor of a 129, which ties with the CL65 AMG Merc and a Lamborghini Murcielago under partially damp conditions, including the Alpina Z8 Roadster, but a smidge worse by 1/10 of a second with the Porsche 997 Carrera S and an Evo 8 Lancer. And the final vehicle on the lineup, the good old station wagon, Ueno Tribal. The 1.8, understandably the worst out of all of them, with the acceleration 817, 778, 0-62 launch and manual shift, but better with the 2.8 liter motor of a 720 and 718 about the same respectively. You could almost say the same thing with the SL with the automatic transmission of a 681 and a 672, with the DCT of the SR of a 655 and a 614 launch, And the S-Type version of the Tribal, thanks to the bigger motor in the V6 engine compared to the 4-cylinder found in the Quartz S-Type, did better in acceleration of a 550, 479 with the launch, but did a little bit worse in brakes of a 266 compared to a 249 with the S-Type Quartz. The SR Tribal had a lap time which was 1/10 of a second worse than the Scribe E-Type of a 129.1 milliseconds, which puts it worse than the CL65, Lamborghini Murcielago, and the Alpina Z8 Roadster. And finally, for the Tribal S-Type, as you recall earlier, it had 4/10 of a second better. It beat the Quartz by 4/10 of a second of a 124.7 milliseconds, rounding it to the nearest tenth of a second. So, ties with the Quartz, and is a bit worse the TVR Sagaris and Aston Martin Viorage, but better than an Alpha, Lancer 8, Tuscan, and Audi TTRS. So, with the final episode of Ueno Motor Cars, starting with the Kodiak and Hilltop, both do the job well in terms of performance, off-road capabilities, and everything that's needed for what a pickup truck and a crossover should do. Having a good variety of trims, from the basic SE trim level, the high performance grade S-Type, and the off-road ready Lassen edition, provides every driver with whatever that suits them at any trim level. If you're a broke boy, go ahead and go cheap. If you want the extra power and looks, try out the S-Type. For the Kage sports car, it was a good idea to omit the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive variants for like the SR and S-Type models, like I did with the last gen model, which you may have recalled in the last episode. This helps reduce the engine factory's demand for producing more engines than they can handle of essentially building the same exact car with a different drivetrain. For the Apex, like I said earlier, I pretty much massacred this boy by doing what Honda did to the S2000, turning it to the S660. This K car is quite squirrely, assuming you know how to control short wheelbase vehicles like this. At least the export 1-liter engine models that are way more powerful than the 660cc K engines help retain some of the last gen's heritage with some of the turbo 1.6-liter engines that made like 230-something horsepower, something like that. And for the rest of the mainstream models, they performed and sold as I would have expected. The Quartz and Tribal did pretty decent in the market. The all-new Ueno Scribe minivan is a step up in design than the Kokai that did okay also. And the second-gen Felidae was the one who carried my earnings throughout the final 6 months. And going back to the Kodiak and Hilltop, I believe the main reason why it didn't sell that great is due to not marketing those cars well, and were not that well established in the truck and SUV market. This is why I dipped in the late 70s with the Ueno Kuma compact truck, as I was generating a decent loss per month. If I marketed them properly, they probably wouldn't have had all those losses of about $100 million a month for both vehicles. So anyways, that'll do it with the last of Automation's light campaign version 4.2 for Ueno Motor Cars in BeamNG Drive. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos like this in the future. So this is TRIZE rising up and signing out.